Don't play the whistle game. If you hear a whistle after midnight, do not answer it. I know this warning sounds silly. It sounds like a joke from school. But I am writing this with my last clear breath. My ribs ache when I inhale. The room is cold even in late summer. And sometimes, when the fan is off and the windows are shut, I still hear someone whistling back at me from the dark. People in my town call it the whistle game. It looks like a small dare. It starts as a laugh. It ends as a debt. I first heard about it from my friend Rafi. He liked stupid dares. Pepper spray on noodles, walking through the cemetery at night. He filmed everything for fun. One night, at a tea stall near the station, he leaned forward and told me the rules in a low voice, like he was selling me a secret. You need a mirror, he said. A door that opens to the outside. A pinch of salt. Your phone must be on. Silent. Midnight to 12:10 only. Not before, not after. You whistle once. If it answers once, you're okay. If it answers twice, you answer once more and say, not for you. And if it answers 3 times, you do not breathe in. You light a match. You do not look into the mirror. You do not open the door. And you never play twice. I asked the obvious question. What happens if I break a rule? He stirred his tea. The spoon clicked the glass. It takes your breath, he said, like it was nothing. We laughed. Of course we laughed. We were not children. We were bored adults with long shifts and slow nights. But later, alone in my apartment, the rules stuck in my head like a song. I had a mirror. I had a door. I had salt in the kitchen. I had curiosity that felt a lot like a hand on my back, pushing me toward the edge. That night, I checked the time. 12:03 a.m. I put my phone on silent and placed it face down. I opened the front door, just a crack, so the chain was still on. A thin line of night air slid into the room. It smelled like wet dust and old iron. I stood in front of the long mirror in the hallway. I could see my own face, pale in the weak light. My breath fogged the glass for a second and then vanished. I told myself I would do it, and if anything felt wrong, I would stop. That was a lie. The moment I decided, I was already trapped by my own promise. I put a small circle of salt at my feet. The house was silent. Even the refrigerator hum seemed to lean back and listen. I pursed my lips and gave one short, clean whistle. Nothing answered. I waited. The second hand on the clock over the kitchen doorway ticked like a drip of water. The world pressed down on me, heavy and close. I almost laughed out loud at myself. Then a whistle came back. It was soft, far. It sounded like someone on the street, maybe a guard or a taxi driver. It did not sound strange. It sounded human. It sounded harmless. One whistle, I whispered. That means I'm okay. Then the second whistle came. It was closer. Not right at the door, but not far. It curled through the crack like a cold finger. The hair on my arms rose. I swallowed hard. My mind tried to explain it. Maybe Rafi was outside, playing with me. Maybe a neighbor. Maybe the wind and my nerves. I remembered the rule. 2 whistles back meant I must answer once more and say, not for you. So I whistled once and spoke softly, not for you. Silence. I started to breathe easier. A small nervous laugh escaped me. I felt silly again. I reached for my phone, just to check the time. Before my fingers touched it, the third whistle came. It did not come from outside. It came from the mirror. It came from just behind my left ear, as if my reflection had leaned in and whistled into my hair. It was not loud, but it was full, clean, and shaped like a hand around my lungs. I froze. The rule exploded in my head. If it answers 3 times, do not breathe in, light a match. Do not look into the mirror. Do not open the door. I clenched my jaw and held my breath. My chest was already tight. The body fights you when you hold your breath. It begs. It claws. It offers to trade anything for just one more mouthful of air. My hands shook as I searched for the matchbox I had placed on the table. I counted silently to distract myself. 1, 2, 3. The room swayed. 4, 5, 6. My vision narrowed, and the edges of the world turned grey. 7, 8. My fingers closed on the matchbox. I struck a match. The flame rose, a small, brave stardot, and then I made my first mistake. I looked into the mirror. I did not want to. I swear I did not. But the flame reflected on the glass, a tiny orange eye. Instinct pulled my gaze up. I saw myself, white-faced and shaking, a match burning low, but my reflection's lips were not pressed tight like mine. My reflection's lips were pursed as if whistling, and the flame in the reflection was not a warm orange. It was blue and thin, like a cold tongue. The match burned my fingers. I gasped, my lungs dragged in a deep, greedy breath. The air that entered me felt wrong. It tasted like damp stone. It tasted like the inside of a well. It tasted like breaths taken by other people a long time ago and saved in a cracked jar. Something moved past me, quick and soft, as if it had been waiting just outside my mouth. The flame guttered. The room went dark. I stood in the thick dark and could hear my own heart. It was fast, hard. Beneath it, another sound began. At first I thought it was distant traffic. Then I understood. Someone was breathing. Not me. It was a slow breath, just behind the door, just beyond the chain. It was careful, like a listener. Then it became a whistle, a thin note drawn out on that stolen air. I backed away until my heels hit the wall. The salt circle crunched under my shoes. My mouth was dry. I reached for the door to slam it shut, but the heavy breath drew close to the crack and the whistle rose again. Playful, patient, like a teacher with a child. I forced my voice to work. "Who are you?" The whistle stopped. The breathing stopped. In that quiet, the house itself seemed to lean forward to hear the answer. A voice spoke. It did not come from the hall. It did not come from the mirror. It came from the empty place. In front of me, from the cold jar feeling in my chest. It used my voice. "Open the door," it said in a perfect copy of my tone, my rhythm, my tired little laugh. "It's only me." I turned, dizzy, and knocked over the mirror. It fell against the wall with a dull thud and slid to the floor. It did not shatter. I wanted it to shatter. I wanted this to end with simple, broken pieces and a mess to clean. I grabbed the door and pushed it closed. The chain lifted and rattled like a warning. The metal felt numb under my fingers, as if it was dead skin. The latch clicked. I put my forehead to the wood and tried to breathe slow from the other side. I heard the sound of fingernails lightly tapping the door. Tap, tap, tap. Then a final, soft whistle that ended in a little laugh. My laugh, my phone, lit up on the table by itself. The screen faced down, but the room glowed pale. I didn't touch it. I couldn't. I watched the light die and come back, die and come back. Each time it lit, I felt my chest tighten, like a hand gently squeezing. I counted my breaths like coins. I had to keep them. I had to spend them carefully. I thought about calling Rafi. I thought about telling him I had played the game and broken a rule. But what would I say? There is something outside my door that breathes with my voice. He would laugh, or worse, he would try it too. In the morning, I found a dry white ring of salt where I had stood. In 3 places, the ring had small gaps, like someone had pushed a toe through, testing for weakness. I cleaned the salt and put the mirror back. I opened the door to the bright street. People moved, birds argued. The world was normal again. But I had to breathe shallow that day. Every deep breath felt stolen and heavy. I told myself it was nerves. I told myself I had scared myself. That afternoon, I called Rafi anyway. He did not answer. I sent a message. Don't play the whistle game. He replied with a laughing emoji and a whistle emoji. That night he sent me a voice note at 12:07 a.m. It was not a joke. At first, there was only silence. Then a slow inhale. Then one short whistle. Then another. Then a third. After the third, I heard him gasp like a fish pulled from water. The recording ended with a soft imitation of his voice, saying, "Open the door. It's only me." The next day, they found him in his room, sitting on the floor, back against the bed, eyes open to nothing. No blood, no marks, just a blue tint around his lips and a slight smile, as if someone had told him a small, friendly secret right before he ran out of air. I broke. I went to his flat and stood in the doorway and said his name. The room smelled like old dust and iron. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. I wanted to take a deep breath and howl the grief out of me. But I did not. I could not. Every large breath now felt like an invitation. I went home before dark. I taped the mirror with brown paper. I poured salt across the threshold of the door. I put my phone in a drawer. I made tea and did not drink it because I did not trust my throat. That night, the whistle came again. It came from the window this time, from the little gap where the frame is crooked. One note, then a second. I covered my ears. The third note. Wanted to be born in my kitchen, inside my lungs, inside my own meat. I held my breath until tears ran down my face. I struck a match. I stared at the wall, not the mirror, not the window. The note curled and died like smoke. I stood there until 12:10 passed and the clock in the other room clicked like a lock. I have not played again. I will not, but it does not matter. The game knows me now. It learned my shape. It learned my voice. It waits on the other side of any small opening a door chain gap, a bad window seal, a crack in a tired heartland. It asks for the same thing it always asks for, a breath you do not want to give, but will, one day, by mistake. So here is the last rule, the one no one tells you. The whistle game does not start with you whistling. It starts when you hear about it and picture yourself doing it. It starts when you read rules at midnight. It starts when you press play on a story like this and lean closer. That is you opening the door just a crack. You want a way out. There is only one I have found, and I do not know if it is mercy or cruelty. You must pass the game to another. Listener, you must teach someone else the rules. You must let the midnight choose a new mouth to knock on. I hate this truth. I hate how easy it makes me. But I am tired. I am always a little short of breath now. Sometimes I wake with my chest tight and the smell of damp stone in my nose, like I have been sleeping at the bottom of a well. Sometimes I hear my own voice from the hallway, humming a tune I do not know, so I am giving the warning to you. Do not whistle back. Do not look at the mirror. Do not open the door. Do not breathe in after the third note. And if, tonight, when the house is still and the air is cold and thin, you hear a small, patient sound from the crack around your door, one note, then another, then a third, remember this: it will speak. In a voice you trust. It will make you a fair offer. It will say, open the door. It's only me, do not do it. Hold your breath, light the match, face the wall. Wait, because once the whistle game knows your name, it will never stop asking, and every breath you take is another answer.